Yes, guys, welcome back to the Streets Won't Forget podcast. I'm Doji, and today, joined by the awesome foursome, we've got Louis, as always, Keelan, and Ralph, and we're here to drop the best ball knowledge on the net. Please make sure you're locked in, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Now, let's not waste any time with things, right? We're going to start Premier League right to the top of the table. Wasn't the most exciting weekend in terms of developments, but all the top teams won. Arsenal 2-0 against Burnley. Liverpool coming back to form with a 2-0 win against Aston Villa, and Man City with a strong 3-1 win against Bournemouth. But we'll start off talking about Arsenal. 2-0 against Burnley. Viktor Gyokeres on the score sheet, having arguably his best game for Arsenal. Another set-piece goal from Arsenal, which is now 8 goals from corners, which is the most for a team at 10 games in this season. Another clean sheet for Arsenal as well, which pushes Arsenal to 7 clean sheets in a row in all competitions, which is an unbelievable record for Arsenal. And, questions continue to grow. Is this the year that Chelsea's 15 goal record is broken? Many, many people doubt it. I, for one, let's see. I think it's possible with this defense. But Keelan, as the other Arsenal fan in the room, we'll just start off getting your thoughts on the game. Gyokeres, Rice with another unbelievable game. He had most tackles, most touches, most interceptions, most recoveries, most duels won, and a goal and a contributing corner as well. So Arsenal, 25 points, 6 points clear. Keelan, how are you feeling about things in general at the moment for us?
So I think like you said, that 7 games without conceding a goal is mental. So I think within that, I'm feeling sort of confident for the season. In particular, we are getting those results, and we haven't been scoring as many as we could, but we've been winning those games, and then almost like looking to the sort of European matches as well. It seems almost like those sort of type of games suit us a bit more, and we're able to perform a bit better in those. I'd say, in terms of, dare I say it, but like could be Arteta's getting his first proper trophy with a treble. But like all sorts of reasons to be confident for it. But mindful that we've been here before. I think we've matched our point tally after 10 games from the 22-23 season now. Which we all know how that one went. I think Arsenal now they look good. Plenty of squad depth, so that we've kind of obviously Sleever's been out. Mosquera's come in. Literally, no no difference on the performance in the team at all. He's slotted in like a glove. Depth sort of as for like Odegaard's obviously been out for a significant amount of time as well. In which when we signed Eze, I thought obviously Odegaard is the captain. I wasn't actually sure we were going to see him kind of playing in that midfield, but he's been performing very well there, and it's kind of suited quite well that Odegaard was obviously not having the greatest form, and then he sort of got injured. Eze's come in there, and it's working very well for the team. So got to keep it up. Gyokeres, probably one of the best 45 minutes he's had at Arsenal. I was very upset to see him go off, but I guess if he's got an injury, what can you do? He's kind of the only striker we have at the moment, so we've of course got to protect him. But as bad as his run's been, that hasn't affected the performances of the team. And then Havertz, it's got to be almost back soon. And then Jesus, wherever he is, if we get 2 or 3 games out of him this season, that would be nice to see. But Joker is definitely not what we thought he could be, but he's showing promises compared to that first game against United. He's gradually improving. He's clearly got that instinct that he's still got, 6 goals in all competitions, despite playing the way he has. He's obviously in the right areas. He knows where to be, he knows what to do when he's in that 6-yard box, and that's something that like Havertz hasn't been able to do for us in recent years. So, still bonuses coming from that.
Yeah, definitely. Gyökeres, you're right. First half, he was great, and I think it's testament to him how well he was doing stretching the play yesterday. By Arsenal's performance in the second half, it was non-existent with him up front. And I know you're not a fan at all of when Mikel steps up front for Arsenal. But Arsenal getting most of their goals through set pieces this season. Do you think, Keelan, that's going to be a sustainable way to score goals for Arsenal, or do you think we're going to have to at some point, rely on Havertz, rely on Gyokeres or whoever, Saka even. He hasn't necessarily got off to the best goal scoring starts this season. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's definitely obviously a concern. It's not entirely reliable at all, but just kind of at the moment, the way we're playing with them is like we are really good at them, and it's not like we're having sort of 7 or 8 corners in a game and then we're scoring on the eighth. It's kind of we're scoring them early. So I always think that dictates the performance for the whole game because, especially with a coach like Arteta, once we get a 1 goal lead, 2 goal leads, he's just not gonna. He's obviously probably got these contingency plans of what he might do in a later game to try sort of score as you need to. But if you can score early from a set piece, there's no need for him to take any risks in that sense. And yeah, we just seem to be scoring them early and then kind of just asking the question of the opposition to like, oh yeah, you try score against us because we might score a goal, but we don't need to score one. And just happy to run it out to a 1-0 or 2-0. But yeah, as long as this it's not even like Gabriel scoring the corners anymore. It's just that bar post for it, Parbo's kick flicked back in. It's very, very hard to defend by the time that ball comes back in. And definitely not sustainable, but I'm sure he'll give it a go. And if it comes to being 0-0 in the 70th minute, I'm sure the squad has enough quality in it that they can sort of bring out those moments across the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You mentioned Gabriel, who's becoming, such a valued asset for Arsenal this season. His progression for me is unbelievable because, he's always been good, but genuinely, he was the one with the bozo gene. Now, out of either of them two, I think Salib was probably closer to having the bozo gene than Gabriel. Next, we'll come to you, Ralph, to be fair, because I know you're not only an opposition fan, but you're also an Arsenal hater.
Hmm.
So, I know we've had runs in the past where Arsenal have been in this position and you've never been convinced, but are you more convinced this season or are there some things that still are left to be desired for you from Arsenal?
Arsenal haven't got any better. The league has just got worse, in my opinion. And it's clear to see when teams like Bournemouth are, in title charges early doors. It's early doors. Arsenal always do this. Loads of points at the start. Nice little run. Everyone else is crap. And then the real teams come like Man City, like they have today, blown away Bournemouth and shown you who the real levels in this league are. When it comes down to performances, your performances week in and week out are set piece goals and Gyokeres scoring from 2 yards out and calling himself the masked man. So at the end of the day, nothing's changed with Arsenal. The league's early doors. You go on this run every single time. You get to the about sort of February time, and then the results start to diminish away, and then City start to pick up results more and more often and show you again, as I mentioned, who runs this league. As I mentioned, like I said before, nothing's changed with Arsenal. I think you guys are a good side, but again, very uninspiring when it comes down to sort of like the football side of things. And you guys probably admit it as well. You mentioned yourself, Keelan, about the set piece goals, and at the very start, Dodzi, about the set piece goals being the most in the league. There's a reason for that. It's because you're not creative when it comes down to the final third. Mikel Arteta's really got no idea when it comes down to attacking football, and you sort of rely on these sort of big players like Declan Rice, who are going to get you out of a hole from a corner or get you out of a hole. Eze has been okay since he's come. I can see a potential there, but apart from that, Saka's had a terrible start to the season. Never been convinced by Saka either way. In terms of he's just a very technical. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Like he's a good shooter, but he's very robotic. I thought the robot in the league was meant to be Haaland, but he scores goals of style. So there we go. That's how I feel about Arsenal at this moment in time. That's just an opinion. You may hate that opinion, but that's just how I feel.
Wow, Arsenal haven't got any better. I mean, from an attacking point of view, maybe. From a defensive point of view, definitely. And the way the league and the way football's played at the moment, I think Arsenal really suit this style of play, to be fair.
Haramble.
So, might not need to be the most exciting team. We were in 23-23. We were the most exciting team. And that resulted in us, trophyless. Louis, the other opposition in the room. Now you've heard 2 points of view there. Obviously, Keelan slightly positive. Ralph, negative about Arsenal. But where do you stand on Arsenal?
As always, I'm in the middle. In all seriousness, I think Arsenal have the lowest floor of any team I've seen in the Premier League since Jose's Chelsea. In terms of, you guys can probably play your worst game, and your worst game is a 1-0 loss or a 1-0 win. or there's one goal in it. I don't think you guys are playing to your potential yet. I still think there's more from Saka. I still think there's more from Eze. Maybe if he moves out to the left and Odegaard comes back, you've obviously still got Odegaard to come back. I think I'm not enjoying the Nicholas Jova versus Haaland title race at the moment. From a fan's perspective, but listen, if it were the other way around, sometimes you need to play ugly, man. Sometimes you need to play ugly. We've all been there. You know, we've been at the club, and you just take the easiest option. You know, but you're winning games. You're winning games of football. You may well break that record, that infamous record. But I'm seeing a Jose Mourinho team right now, which Arsenal fans for the past 20, 30 years have always said that you play beautiful football, and the Arsenal, and I know it was 1-0 to the Arsenal, but you played with beauty and played with style. So I don't know. It feels weird. It feels like you guys are Chelsea and Chelsea are Arsenal right now. But listen, you're probably gonna win the title. In fact, I'm gonna call it now. You've won the title. Um, so it is what it is. But yeah, it's not great to watch. Football's in a bit of a dire place right now. The Premier League's in a bit of a dire place right now. Um, I mean, that Real Madrid Barcelona game a couple of weeks ago or last weekend, that was a breath of fresh air. Watching PSG in the Champions League was a breath of fresh air last year, and then I'm watching the Premier League, and there's long throws and there's corners, and I feel like I'm watching rugby rather than football. But it is what it is. If it were United doing this, I'd be bigging it up and praising how good the defense is. Um, but I still think there's more to come from you. I'm going to touch on Gyokeres before I let someone else speak, because I know TikTok's been coming at me, and it's sod's law. That whatever I say it gets clipped up on TikTok, the opposite happens. So I'm kind of tempted to say he's world class and he's going to score 50 goals. But no, I'll stick to my guns. I don't think he's great. He had a good 45 minutes, and I felt a bit sorry for him actually having to come off, because as a striker, you play for so long and you don't score. I know he scored in the Champions League, but you play for so long and you don't score in the league, and then that goal comes. You're against a team that's going to be down the bottom, if not one of the bottom three, and you think, okay, there's 2-3 on for him here. Plus, he's in my fantasy team, so I was kind of hoping he'd go on and score one or two more. But listen, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You're completely right in the fact that I think Keelan said it, in the fact that he's your only striker, so you need to protect him. So even if it's a minor injury, you do the safe thing. You're playing Burnley. The chances are that game's wrapped up, so you take him off and you adjust. But I still, that performance against Burnley, it's just Burnley. It's just Burnley, and rightfully, people on TikTok pointed out he's got 7 goals in 15 games. Cool, that's a steady return for an Arsenal striker for the best team in the league. I think if you had, maybe not Sheshko, I think if you had Ekitike or Isak, they would have maybe even doubled that by now. Maybe not Isak, because he didn't have a preseason, and neither did Gyökeres. So maybe I'm being harsh, but I do think there's needs to be more from him if you want to go on and compete, not just for the Premier League, because as I said, that's wrapped up. But if you want to compete for the Champions League, if you want to compete for the treble, if you want to do what United and City have done in the past, you're going to need more from your number 9. But fair play to him, man. He shut me up. So cool. Let's hope for your guys' sake that he continues to shut up, and let's hope for my sake that he doesn't. So yeah, I'm not going to try and get clipped up as much this week. But
Nah, man, talk your stuff, man. I think, as an Arsenal fan, I'm not in complete disagreement about Gyökeres. Um, yeah, it was a good goal, it was a good game, but it is what is expected, unfortunately. And, coming to a big team like Arsenal, coming with that price tag, you're not going to get whoopie doos for scoring against Burnley, unfortunately. It's the games, not even the big games, it's even the Bournemouth aways and the Fulham aways, we want to see goals and performances in those games. But, credit to Gyokeres, it was a good game. And overall, compared to the other strikers that have joined, he is measuring up okay. Just about, whether he's stat padded his way to 7 goals in 15 games or not, he's measuring up all right. But, I think as Arsenal fans, Keelan, when Havertz comes back, I think, yeah, what are you saying when Havertz comes back? Because I think when Havertz comes back, he starts, to be honest.
Definitely. I think most away games, and then any of the bigger games. I think kind of almost Gyökeres has had this run without him, and he's been like all right, but it's kind of he's not done enough to warrant Havertz not coming straight back in over him, considering obviously last time Havertz was fit for us, he was flying a lot more than sort of Gyokeres is now. So I think Havertz will get that opportunity, but then I think it's between them. Just it will all be based on form because they both got almost completely different skill sets, and what Havertz is really good at, Gyokeres isn't, and then vice versa. But I think like those big top six games, I think Havertz will sort of come in just because. He's doing more when he's not scoring compared to Gyokeres. But I don't think Arteta will have a huge favourite between them. It will just be give them both a friendly competition for that spot and see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. And then obviously we've still got Jesus as well, but I would be surprised if he gets, as much as I'd love him to get minutes.
Forgot he existed, to be honest.
Yeah, who?
Who?
Hey, before his injury, he was ripping it up. To be fair, man,
He's a baller, man. But yeah.
He's not.
Where's my man?
He's not around no more.
Nah, back in, you signed in January, as Arsene Wenger used to say. But, we'll move on to the other title challenges quickly, and we'll start with you, Ralph. We'll go with Man City 3-1 against Bournemouth. Now, you were really talking your talk there about Man City, that they're the big dogs here, that they're the ones that are going to come back into form at some point and remove Arsenal from top spot. What is it about, what do you see in Man City that you don't quite see in Arsenal?
Years of history, my friend, in terms of statistically from the past sort of 10 years, who have dominated the Premier League? It's been Manchester City. Like, let's be honest, every single year it's been the same thing. What this year is different about City in a catastrophic way that you haven't seen before? Nothing at all. We've seen City have bad starts to the season and still go on to win the title. We've seen City have amazing starts to the season and still win the title. We've seen you guys lead most of the season and still lose the title to City or Liverpool. So statistically, there's nothing that sort of tells me that you guys are going to win it this year just because you've had a good start, because we've seen that happen before and we've seen the result at the end. So really and truly, there's nothing to me that stands out that's different about City this year. In fact, City have strengthened in some good areas. They've got players now who have started to step up a little bit more, like O'Reilly. You've got Cherky, had a very decent half of football today. Savinho comes in. Doku has started to put some GA into the mix as well. I mean, to be honest with you, it's in the Premier League, it's mainly just Haaland, but Haaland scoring goals, which he always does. So what have City changed? They're still scoring loads of goals. They're still dominating teams. Yeah, they've had a few games where they've not been as good in the pre-season. It's early doors of the season, but we've seen City do that before. We've seen them go on a really bad start and still come at the other end of things. So they've got the squad depth to be able to do that as well. Like, it's not like they've got no depth in the squad. They've notoriously got the most depth in the league all the time. And Arsenal do as well, but you've lost some players and you've seen the impact of that. If you lose Saliba or Gabriel, instantaneously your team is a little off. Your team isn't quite the same, whereas you can lose a centre-back at Manchester City and you're still okay. So let's be honest, you mentioned
that, to be fair.
I think that would be the case.
We've lost Saliba to Mosquera. Mosquera's come in and been fine. If City lost, I don't know. How many injuries are there away from Simpson Puzzi? Like, I don't think that.
Are you fine though? Are you really fine? Some dodgy. I think okay. Yeah, you've had a good start to the season. I won't take that away from you. Fair enough. But I've seen it before, and we'll just let the season play out as it will. But my prediction is that you're not going to win the league this year, despite having a really good start. I know what Arsenal are like. You know what Arsenal are like. You probably know more than me what Arsenal are like. So to sit here as confident as you may think you are about it, it's just the truth of the matter. You just have to accept it. I've accepted it years ago. City always win the league, and unless something crazy happens, like Liverpool decide to turn up, or City decide to not turn up. And even last year when they didn't win it, they probably could have done if they tried a little bit harder. So, in the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I still think that today's performance showed Bournemouth are a really good side, by the way. Like, don't get that twisted yet. Okay, fair enough, Man City are at home, and that's obviously a very big player and a big factor in this, because when they're at home, they are, like I said, a lot better. But Bournemouth is still a very good side. They've taken the sort of every Big Six team in the league more than once on many occasions. So to sort of, though they had, first half, I think Bournemouth are definitely in the game. There's definitely a lot of attacking threat there. Semenyo, for example, really good attacking player. But City just did what City do, and they controlled the game. They controlled the tempo. When you've got Haaland up front in front of goal, it's like his gilt edge most of the time when he's through on goals. So that's always going to be a massive factor. But they've got attacking players. They've got the strength in numbers and depth. And we've seen, like I said, new players coming in and stepping up to the plate. And a lot of their signings, okay, Reinders isn't as convincing as I thought he may be. And having Rodri not there is a big difference. Losing KDB as well is a big thing. But these players that they've replaced them with have stepped up this year. From what I can see, they are still playing the Man City way. There's nothing really that looks different about City other than the fact that they haven't had the most amazing start to the season. But, they've got such a squad depth, not a huge amount of pre-season. It's just the standard stuff where you just got to accept it, I think.
I think City did look all right today. But, Louis, you did say something last week which is ringing in my ears, which is their second top scorer is Esteve with 2 own goals. So, there's Arsenal who've got sustainability issue potentially with the set pieces, but I mean that one there as well is also a sustainability issue. But I don't expect that to continue, to be fair.
No, neither do I. I think Cherky is gonna grow even more as the more Premier League games he plays. I think Foden. Look, we all know what Foden can do. He hasn't done it probably now for 18 months, but we all know what he can do and what he has done before in the Premier League. So I still expect him to have a myriad of performances where because it's a World Cup year, so he's gonna try and sneak his way into that squad. So I still expect him to hit a little bit of form. I mean, Doku has looked really, really decent. Maybe the end product isn't there, but it's looking a bit better than it was last season. They've got Marmoush back now as well, and look, Marmoush, if you can strike a ball as well as he can, then you're always going to score goals. So I think they have a lot of attacking quality, and I think they're more refreshing to watch than Arsenal. Maybe that's harsh, but I think they're a bit more refreshing to watch than Arsenal, and they've obviously got a robot up front. But I do really, really fear for them if that old lady who Haaland's buying his steak off runs out of steaks, then they might be in trouble, or the raw honey supply gets cut off, or the raw milk supply gets cut off. But I think they'll be right up there with you. I said at the beginning of the season that I expect them to be around there, around the top 3 places, just because of the attacking quality they have. But I can't look past that defense and the midfield without Rodri as well. Nico Gonzalez, to be fair to him today, was good, but Bournemouth played really high, which I didn't expect. I know Iriola does like to play high, but I thought they'd probably show City a bit more respect than what they did. And Haaland, I mean, he could have scored a hat-trick just from balls in behind. Not everyone's going to play like that every week against them. To be fair, how do you stop Haaland? You can put 10 men in the box and he's still going to score. But I expect them to, as the season goes on, I expect them to get better as well. I expect them to grow into it. Defense is unconvincing. I think when they don't have Guardiola, they're really shaky at the back. I do like the look of Nico O'Reilly. I do think he's a top player. I've been quite impressed with Nunez actually as well. I think he goes about his business quite well. He's not an amazing player, but I think he's a 6.57 out of 10 most weeks. Obviously, he's a centre midfielder, so for a fullback, he's going to be very, very technical. So yeah, I'm impressed. I think Guardiola's kind of adapted this year differently to how the rest of the teams in the league have, because the rest of the teams have gone more physical. It kind of feels like City have lost an element of physicality and gone a bit more technical. And Pep Guardiola is always one step ahead of everyone. So maybe he might not win it this year, but I think next year he'll see the fruits of his labour, as he always does. And I expect the paradigm shift to shift a bit more towards the technical football once again, or at least maybe that's the optimist in me. But I do think this year's Arsenal's year, and then potentially City with their young attackers and a couple more signings at the back of the midfield will be best placed next year to make that challenge. But listen, I wish both teams could lose. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be one of you two, and if it isn't, it'll probably be Liverpool, who again, I wish all 3 teams could lose. But listen, this is the situation we're in right now. United are miles away, Chelsea are miles away, Tottenham are miles away. If it was one of them 3 teams, obviously I prefer United, but if it was Chelsea or Tottenham, it's never going to be Tottenham, is it? Let's be honest. If it were Chelsea, I wouldn't care too much. But it's going to be one of Arsenal, City, or Liverpool, and it's like asking, do I want my left bollock gone, my right bollock gone, or my dick gone? I don't really want any of them gone, to be honest. So yeah, man, I'm probably going to be in hiding in the summer. Hopefully the World Cup distracts everyone from the fact that Arsenal win a title and England win the World Cup, so that we can just forget that whole Arsenal thing happened.
We're not
But
letting you guys forget.
I'll just block you, bro. I don't care if I've known you 20 years.
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary of City. Definitely, as you said, the more refreshing team going forward. But yeah, question marks if Haaland gets injured and if they got a few injuries in the back. We'll wrap up the title talk there. Obviously, Liverpool 2-0 win. I'm sure we'll touch on Liverpool much more as the season goes on. But we'll go just below the title and to the Champions League race if you'd like. And you know what? I'm gonna do you guys a compliment. We're gonna talk about Man United in the Champions League race. That's not something I'll be talking about this season, but they are in the places at the moment. 2-2 against Forest. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was very disappointed to see Man United not pick up 3 points. The United strand, I don't know if he's getting a haircut now, to be honest, because that was the chance. That was a chance for United to get 5 games in a row. And I just see too many banana skins going forward for United to get 5 games in a row in the near future. But yeah, salvaging the point, 2-2 is not a bad result, all things considered. Ralph, your thoughts on United at the moment? Obviously, they've had a little swing of form, which has been good for them. But yeah, a draw to Forest. What do you make of that?
First of all, I think that United Strand's an idiot because when have we ever won 5 games in a row, really? And what team really does? They're in a title race, and we're clearly not. So probably picked the wrong time to start that, and it puts a lot of pressure on us every week because it's now talk of the town, as we always are, with all these things. But no, first of all, 2-2 Forest, I think is a predictable game. I think I put in the chat, I think it's going to be a draw, just because of the fact that it's Sean Dyche. I think we had the form that we had and the players we have up front saved us sort of yesterday in terms of from a little bit of an embarrassment. Of course, Sean Dyche is going to lump balls into the box. Of course, Sean Dyche's team is going to be physical. Of course, Sean Dyche's team is going to defend properly. And, you've got a 6'5" striker in the box who's up against 2 centre-backs who are very physical and very good in the air. So, again, that's not going to really work, is it? And I think Mbeumo and Cunha had 3 centre-backs. Well, yeah. Three. So it's two centre backs and 1 striker essentially in that 3 back. So, so essentially, like I said, in that game, you've got that's not going to work. And Mbeumo and Cunha passing yesterday was a bit off. I felt like they were their sort of touches weren't as slick as they've been. In Mbeumo especially, I didn't think he had his best game yesterday. He quietly went, he did had a few attacks, but quietly went under the radar with a little bit of sloppiness. And I don't know if that's maybe, I don't know what's going on there. But I think there's a lot of excitement around Man United at the moment with the 3 wins on the bounce for a long while. A lot of excitement in the media. People are praising us all of a sudden, and it feels like whenever we get to that point, that balloon pops. It's always a popping moment. Our heads get a little bit too big for ourselves, and we need to just calm down because we need to realise that we're in the very early stages of something that's completely different for our club, a brand new philosophy, something that's obviously being backed by the ownership, which we haven't had in a long time. And 3 wins on the bounce doesn't mean that Man United are back. That just means that Man United have faced 3 teams that have been unable to stop them, quite simply, obviously. But they've had Sunderland, which is a win you should be winning. I think the Liverpool game was, again, it's a Liverpool game. That was a very good win. Something we probably haven't won in so long since sort of Wayne Rooney days. So for that to be, that's a good win. I think when you play a team like Nottingham Forest away, when they've got a brand new manager like Sean Dyche in play, it's naive to go into the game that you think you're going to walk over them. It's just not happening. Having Ahmad at the back post, for example, against Gibbs White on that header, it's gilt edge chance for Gibbs White. He's all over Ahmad at that point, and that's a problem. Dalot on that left side is poor. I think Dalot should sort of pack up his boots and think about a different career at this point, or go to Dagestan for 2-3 months or something, brother, because he cannot be playing football anymore, honestly. And Dorgu coming off the bench from him is just like, yeah, it's like brown or white pasta. It's just like it's still pasta in it. It's just dead. It's just easy to do, man. It's just food, man, isn't it? So yeah, it's not like we haven't brought any attacking talent or intent down that left hand side. I think when you've got no attacking intent on that left hand side of Cunha in that sort of 10 role, he needs someone to be able to rely on, to overlap, to link up with, to get sort of quick plays going with him. And when you've got Dalot on that side or Dorgu, who's fresh and raw, it's just not happening. Dorgu's not quite got the ability in the final third to sort of get those crosses in. You want to sort of say something there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to wait for you to finish, and I was actually going to mention Cunha, who you mentioned in the chat. Now, Cunha, yeah, I like Cunha at Wolves a lot. I thought he was great for them last season, real carry job in terms of keeping them up. But you guys are seeing a few signs to suggest that he might not be the player you need in that position. Yeah, just want to get your thoughts on Cunha at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think Cunha is undoubtedly a very good player. Like, there's no doubt about it. He is a phenomenal football player when it comes down to technical ability, and he's a technical player, and he's able to drive past players. He's very audacious in that sort of area. I think it's different when you're a big fish in a small pond. You've got to understand that he's, the main man at Wolves. He was the guy that was going to drag them, as you said, out of games, because Wolves aren't technically on paper a very good side. He's the star, and he's shining star in that team. So he's able to pull moments out like that, and it stands out more because it's a Wolves team. Whereas when you're in Man United, when you've got the quality like in Mbeumo, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Casemiro, all these players around you that are also superstars in their own sort of right, you kind of don't have that same sort of aura about you where you can sort of drag a game by the scruff of the neck, because these other guys are doing all of that for you. So again, I feel like he suffers from that a little bit, but I also think that left-hand side is just genuinely a weaker side for us. I don't think that having people like, or when Mount plays, for example, when him and Mount are playing together, I think they're a little bit better. There's someone there that he can technically bounce off, and he's very good at those sort of little 1-2s and interchanging, dragging players out of the game, etc. And his movement's really good. I think he still does that in most games, but I think the GA is just not there for me. And I think when you come with such high expectations in a Man United team, any signing for Man United's got high expectations from the very start. It's difficult when you don't hit the ground running with GA, and it starts to, sort of, people start to watch you a little bit more, and the eyes are really, really on you a lot of the time. So don't get me wrong, I think it will come for Cunha. I think he's a very good player, and I think that, the goal that he scored the other day was a very good goal, and that's the technical quality that he has. I just think it's just been a bit of a slow start, and I think Man United in general aren't quite there yet. We're just sort of like edging towards being sort of a little bit more of a more consistent side, and sort of getting a bit of a pattern and a style of play. But I think Cunha is, he's struggling to sort of get into games as much. He sort of does drift in and out of games quite a lot. But I think that's just because the other side is so technically good, and you've got Mbeumo and Amadou starting to build a partnership, and you're watching that all the time. You're focused on Sesko or Lamens, what they're doing. So the eyes have been less on him in the sort of past few weeks. Now, he hasn't really done a lot. He sort of drifts in and out of games, but hopefully it comes. I hope it does, because I think he's good enough to sort of show the level in what he's made off there. But it's just one of those things that I think Man United aren't quite there yet. So we would just calm down. I think Seb's quite on the bandwagon that we're in some sort of top 4 race, but we're nowhere near that. Let's be very clear. I do not in any way, shape or form believe we're in a tight race. I would take top 8 at this point. So do you know what I mean? Like we're better than that. I think we are a top 6 team. We're definitely a top 6 team, but from where we've come from, to expect us to then be in the title race after a pre-season, that's really not the case. We need to really understand who we are and what we actually have been for the last 5-6 years, under multiple different sort of rebuilds. So not in any pretense that we're in some sort of title race at this point. I just want to take every game as it comes, win a few games on the bounce, as we have before, get a bit of momentum going, beat the teams you should beat, and at least compete for most games that we're in, because that's the state of the club at the moment, and we need to accept that.
Yeah, Louis, go ahead. You had something to say.
Yeah, I've got a couple of talking points, and I don't disagree with what Ralph said. I do think the ceiling at the moment of this team, and I'll explain the reasons why. That the ceiling I think is third, whereas the floor is probably 8th, 9th, 10th. I mean, the floor, we've seen the floor last year, but I think with the quality that Mbeumo and Cunha have brought, I think the floor is probably 8th, 9th, because they've got goals in them. But I think if they perform at their maximum with one game a week, then they can get top 5, top 4. I mean, I think getting into Europe in itself is a big thing, because then you can get more players and you can start bulking up the squad a little bit more. You can get Kobe some more games, you can get Mount some more games, you can get these guys some more games, even some of the younger players. So I think they're obviously a long way from the title, but there's a couple of talking points I want to talk about. So I think first of all, there's not enough depth in the squad. I was at 2-1 down yesterday. I was kind of looking at the bench thinking, we've got Mount, he's all right, but do you trust him to come on and score a goal over Cunha? Nah. You got Xerxes, decent player, but he's not known for his goal scoring as a striker, and I think he'll probably be off in January anyway. So again, pretty uninspiring. I mean, Kobe's got a goal in him, but again, who do you take off? You don't take off Bruno Fernandes, you don't take off Mbeumo, you don't take off Cunha. You maybe could have took off Sesko, moved Bruno slightly further forward, or played Kobe in the 10. I don't know. Sesko had a poor game yesterday, to be completely honest. And again, I know I said in the last pod that he's shown me something. He still is, but I think he's going to need a fair bit of coaching, because I think He's definitely a solid technical footballer, and he can do a lot of things with a football, and he can strike a ball, and he jumps really high, which I know has been a meme, but it's true. So I think if you can work on some of the more game savvy aspects of his game, I think there's a player there, but at the moment I'm not quite seeing that. I think Bruno and Casemiro have immense quality, as obviously we've seen this season already. But I do worry that if Casemiro gets an injury, and look, we know his age, we know his injury record, we know his red card record as well. I don't trust Ugarte to come in and offer half as much as what Casemiro does, because Casemiro excellent both boxes. Um, Even when he's on a yellow card, you can. I think that alone, the amount of yellow cards he gets is worth it. And that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but actually, the amount of attacks he actually stops just by being a madman and flying into tackles is actually worth its weight in gold. And we're going to really, really miss him if he does leave at the end of the season. He will, because he's on high wages, but we're going to miss him, and it's going to be really, really hard to replace him with someone who can contribute in both boxes as much as he does, play the balls over the top that he does, and also impact the game. It always seems like he steps up in big games and in big moments to either get a goal or make some sort of challenge. So I'm really going to miss him when he goes. It's been a kind of love-hate relationship with Unk since he's been here, but I mean, a player of that quality and that decorated, you're always going to miss. So it would be sad to see him go, but I hope they make the right decision, and I hope they bring someone in of the ilk of. It's looking like their main targets, Elliot Anderson, good player, but I don't know. I think I still think Belieber for the right price. Price is the guy. I don't know why.
Really?
I really, I think he's a 21-year-old kid who was offered life-changing money for one of the biggest clubs in the world, and that's turned his head, man. He's come from Cameroon. He's had a hard journey through football. He got offered the opportunity to change his family's life forever, and that's got to him. It would get to all of us as well, I think. So I don't blame him for the drop in performances. Actually, I think that's United's fault for briefing the media and making it so public. Obviously, Ineos were trying to get some plaudits from United fans for that, and it was a deal that was never going to happen. So I think that was a nasty play from United to do that, and it's really affected his career. But I still think there's a player there. I still think if we're 50, 60 million rather than 100, I think that's a coup, because for me he's got all of the attributes that United need. He can carry the ball. He's always, even in that United game when he got dispossessed a couple of times, he was still coming and showing for the ball. I liked his character, but I just think mentally he's dropped off and checked out. And listen, he's a 21-year-old lad, and it is what it is. But I still think he's the guy there, and I still think they'd probably need another one on top of that as well.
What about
The back,
Angelo Stiller?
I like him as a football player. He doesn't strike me as an Amarim player. Now,
Okay.
whether the manager should be there or not is a discussion for another day. But I don't think he's an Amarim player, and I don't think he's a player long term who can play with Kobe Menu. But if it's kind of a Bruno Fernandes replacement, and this sounds weird because Bruno you don't associate with someone who plays deeper, but I think what Bruno offers to Amrim that Amrim really likes is them consistent balls over the top. Every time he gets the ball, it's over the top, over the top, over the top for Mbeumo and Sesko to run onto. Kobe's not that type of player. Whereas Angelo Stiller is someone who's got the quality to do that, as well as having the defensive side of the game. But in terms of his tackles, his interceptions, he's a bit lightweight. I don't think he's an Amarin midfielder in that respect. So I don't know. We'll see. I like him as a player. I'd probably bring him in, but I'd probably get a different manager as well. That being said, 4 games unbeaten, not to be scoffed at. I know yesterday's result was a bit of a kick in the teeth, but actually, as Ralph said, Sean Dyche in a new job. Nottingham Forest aren't bad. They've got good players. They've got match winning quality, and they've got good defenders. And Sean Dyche shoots them a lot more. I think Savona, who played right back, that's a very Sean Dyche thing to do. He puts a 6'3" centre back in at right back to add that extra bit of height, as well as obviously Milenkovic and Murillo. We've seen how good they were last year. I think he shored them up a lot defensively. It was always going to be a difficult game, but I'm just looking at the fixtures now. There's still. I don't want to curse it, but the United strand still might have a chance because I'll read out the next few. So Spurs away, I think that's a tough game. You
So
can't say you're going to win that, but Spurs are really bad at home. And then
it's a
it's
draw.
Everton at
Yeah.
home. United should win that game. Again, it's not an easy game. It's a bit of a banana skin. Palace away, can't see United winning that. But after that, West Ham home, Wolves away, Bournemouth home, Villa away, Newcastle home. All of those games are winnable. None of them are easy, but all of them are winnable, I think. I think if it was Newcastle away, I'd probably say no. But I think, yeah, West Ham home, Wolves away, Bournemouth home, Villa away, Newcastle away. It's doable. I don't think they're going to win 5 games in a row this season. If they had Europa League and they were still in the Carabao, maybe. But as Ralph said, man, 5 was always really, really unrealistic. I think even if you were a City or a Liverpool fan, you'd probably struggle to do that this year. So I think the only ones capable of winning 5 on the bounce are Arsenal. So I think he set himself an unrealistic expectation. A lot of United fans really don't like the bloke, but listen, man, cash in while you can, get that money, baby, because eventually you're gonna have to cut your hair.
Yeah, I think it took Arteta like third season to get five wins in a row.
There you go.
Last season he didn't win 5 games in a row at all. Doesn't help by the fact that you guys are not in any cup competitions at the moment as well. So yeah, he set himself a really unrealistic goal, and it's funny because he said that he didn't think it would take long, and he would have set that goal around like when Ten Hag was stinking it up. So I don't know why he would have thought it wouldn't take that long. I mean, unless there was a great opportunity there, a social media opportunity. But yeah, United decent comeback against Forest. I think you guys have summed it up well. You're very balanced about your squad. You're not,
Can I just say
not
something?
getting
That
too ahead of
Ahmad,
yourself.
that Ahmad goal is absolutely crazy, by the way.
Yeah, that was a banger.
That was an absolutely crazy goal. Like the audacity to pull that off. That's what game winners do, man. But yeah, fair play to Ahmad.
That's gone under the radar, actually, that goal. Keelan, any finishing thoughts on Man United?
Nah, just other than reiterating that United strand. It's just a funny one because, like, obviously you'd like to think the whole squad and the manager, they're all like, they don't even know who this guy is. But it's just like speaking to United fans that you could feel the pressure added to this game and just that anxiety over it of just because generally that was like such a good opportunity. Like you look at the fixtures, like, I think the ones Lou mentioned they could do that, but Bournemouth and Newcastle in there, it's tough games, and it's just like I don't think Liverpool, Arsenal, or City done it last year. And then it's just what is this guy actually going to look like this time next season? Because at the moment it's looking like he's not going to be cut. And and just back to what Ralph was saying. Obviously, he wasn't kind of switching between Man U being in a title race and like a top 4 race, in which I think they definitely are in a top 4 race. Like they do look good, and I think when you bring in Cunha and Mbeumo, the quality they sort of have, Sesko to sort of have as an option, and then like sort of Mount being able to sort of play with him as well to sort of support them too. You're always going to improve the team massively, but then going back to what Louis said, it's just like the United squad, they do have some good players, and generally if they just did play a 4 at the back, this guy could have had his haircut by now, and they could just be seriously challenging, in which I think they're obviously like near the top for like XG created this year. But like all their games that they've not, I don't think you've won by a 2-goal margin yet, or other than the Sunderland game. But it's fact like you're creating all these,
and Brighton as well.
You're creating all these chances, but then you're underperforming XG, which is sort of never good. In which I think just this system is very complex. It's everything needs to be perfect for it, and then free minor as well, because the guy does deserve to be playing this year, and he's such a great option, and Amorim's got no time for him at all.
Yeah, free minor indeed. Yeah, crazy,
because he's an actual footballer.
Yeah. By the way, Louis, just thinking about fixtures wise, I think the easier one is probably like end of December to start of January, but obviously then we've got lost for AFCON, haven't we, with Diallo
no Ahmad and Bruno. So,
but those are winnable games even without those two. You've got Villa. I mean, Newcastle is the hardest one, and Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley. That is like the golden. That's a golden road. If only like Cameroon got the AFCON early, so like. Please drop a stinker, Onana. Like, please, I beg. Like, just be yourself, brother. Please, just be yourself.
They're gonna win it, and he's gonna drop man of the match every single game.
Every single game, playing out from the back. Everything. He's gonna do everything in his power to win that fucking trophy, man. And then that would be it. That's the depth issue that we have, unfortunately.
I don't know if I can watch a Dallo Mount right hand side for 5 weeks, man. And I think it's I actually quite like Mount in it, but he's just
Yeah.
I don't know, man. When I see him starting, I'm just like, oh, this guy, man, he's just meaty. Like he's good, he's good in it, but he's not actually that. He's just not. He's not got the quality of Mboimo and Cunha and Bruno, but
I
he
think
does
it'll
the
be
right
Luke Shaw
things.
in there, though. I think they're
What,
bringing
left wing
push
back?
Luke Shaw, left wing back Luke Shaw, and then bring probably Leach or another centre back in like Yoro, Maguire, and Delict. Just because they're like proven. Whereas bringing someone like Dallo, he loves playing Dallo on that left hand side, man. Dallo is so bad. He is so bad.
It
Or
is
it would be
crazy.
Mazraoui wing back.
Mazraoui right wing back or left wing back. God, even that. No, Mazraoui is Moroccan, isn't he? Or is he Moroccan?
Oh yeah, he'll be there as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so kind of think Mazraoui, bro. So we cooked. We actually cooked.
It's gonna be Dallo, isn't it? But even
Dallo, man.
Mazraoui's kind of like Mazraoui's a bit like Mount as well, though, man. Where it's like he's good
He's
in it, but when I
technical.
just watch
Yeah.
him, but when I watch him, I'm just like, yeah, this guy's all right in it, but he's
Mm.
not. He's not Ahmad and he's not Mbuemo in it. So
But he was like 12 mil, so I can't really complain, innit?
yeah,
Like
it's
12 mil
cool.
for any player is cool. You can do what you want, mate. Just have a good time. Enjoy it.
Yeah, he's
Enjoy
modern. He's modern day Daily Blind.
it. Yeah, go have a great time, mate.
Yeah, he's all right. He can play a couple positions. Don't really ever play crap, apart from when he came on yesterday. But yeah, is what it
Yeah,
is.
Ring
never,
rust.
never. There's no. I think the Mount thing. There's no devastating. He's not devastating at all. Like does a lot of nice things, but it's so rare he leaves with GA, which is quite strange because when he was at Chelsea, he was actually quite good for GA. So I don't
Yeah,
know what's really
I think
happened.
Yeah,
he's a
against
player who.
Norwich.
Yeah, Mason Mount is a player who never does anything wrong, but doesn't do anything particularly right. If that makes sense, he always kind of he never makes a mistake, but then he's never outstanding. He never, you don't see him beat a man and curl one in. I mean, he's done it once this season, but you never really see him beat a
Him
man
and
and curl it
Ossie.
in, and you never really. He's not Cunha. He's not going to carry it. He's not Mbuemo. He's not going to make the run in behind and be devastating. He's not Sesko where you can put the ball into him and he's going to score. He's just 6 out of 10 when he plays. He's all right, man. He's all right. He's a decent player to have, but one game a week, he's never going to play that many games. And his injury record, his fitness has just been so horrible since he's come that he can only play 65, 70 minutes anyway. So actually, maybe Kobe might play when
FA
Mbuemo and
Cup's going
Ahmad
to be
go. But
important, I think, especially when
yeah,
FA
the
Cup's
draw.
back and have a couple games a week, maybe, or maybe some more game time for some other players. Get some fitness. Could go on a good run in the FA Cup if we get Arsenal early doors, just get them out of the way.
I think with Mount as well, he's one of those players where, like, if you bring like most Premier League forwards and you put him in like a good Championship team, they'll probably like clean up and do well. Whereas like Mount, I'm not even sure he would. He's very humble in the sense that he knows what he can do and what he can't, and which what he does do most of the time is get the ball to the ballers. In that same I could see him he could go into that Real Madrid team in certain games and just get the ball to Mbappe and Vinny every time, and that's an important job in itself. But he's just not a maverick at all.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Very,
exactly
very
it.
coachable, adaptable player, just not a maverick. But he has a Champions League winners medal and he got assists in the final. So it's crazy. I mean, that shows his level, if you like. But still, I mean, in 2025, Mount not a maverick, just a very steady player, 6 out of 10, Louis, as you said. But yeah, we'll have to wrap up the United chat there and quickly touch on Spurs losing 1-0 to Chelsea. I mean, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium may as well be called Stamford Bridge B because Chelsea just walk all over them every time they play there. It's 5 wins there for Chelsea now. And Thomas Frank already is coming under quite a lot of pressure from the fans due to their style of play. I mean, Tottenham are still 5th, which is 12 places higher than they were last season. But the football is not great. Like, I was watching the game yesterday and Tottenham didn't look like their score. Their defense is all right. Like they can keep teams out, but they just have nothing going forward, and everything looks disjointed as well. Like they really struggle to just do 3 or 4 like safe passes. Really, Tottenham. Um, but yeah, I want to focus on one player. I know the game's not his fault, but when you come with a price tag, you unfortunately do come under scrutiny, and that's Xavi Simons. I think he came on at about 20 minutes for Bergval, who started left wing over him, which is, that's not a great look if you're a new signing. And you've got a centre mid starting in an attacking position over you. That's not great. And then he came off around the 70th minute, when Tottenham will be needing the goal. Um, I've liked Xavi Simons from what I've seen of him before. I think he's played well when I've watched him against Arsenal for PSV a few years ago, and he scored that banger against England in the semi-finals of the Euros. But boy, does he not look like a Premier League player at the moment. He just looks so weak. He looks so slow. And yeah, it's life for him at the moment is tough. And I feel a bit sorry for him because I think he's expected to be Tottenham's crowning jewel, but he's just not that type of player for me. He's a good cog in a system potentially, potentially a rotation player to be fair at a top club. Yeah, Louis, I know you've had your thoughts on Xavi Simons.
Yeah.
What do you make of him so far?
I think I'm starting to think he's one of those players where the idea of him is better than the player itself. And maybe Shesko is one of those as well, but I'll focus on Xavi Simons as well. And I'm not saying either of these guys are bad players before this gets clipped up on TikTok and people start losing their minds. What I'm saying is, I think Xavi Simons, he's got the hair, he's got the kind of technique. His name's Xavi. He came through La Masia and into PSG. He wears nice coloured boots. Scored a nice goal against England, but even in that game, he kind of disappeared a bit after that. So I think he's one of those players who the idea is better than the player itself. Perhaps he's a La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga player where he's not necessarily a Premier League player. As you mentioned, I feel a bit sorry for him because I expected him. He's expected to come in and be the James Maddison replacement and create as much as he did, but he don't look he looks weak. I mean, technically he's still okay, but it just feels like he can't show that technical level because every time he gets the ball, he's just smothered by the way these teams in the Premier League play. Um, I seen that Wolves game was one that really stands out. He was awful, man. He
Yeah.
was so bad against the worst team in the league as well. He was so bad. He got absolutely bullied by Wolves' back five that day. I mean, Matt Doherty was making him look like I don't know, like a non-league player, man. It's a weird one, and it kind of the red flag for me is Barca kind of let him go to PSG. PSG have let him go twice without really putting up a fight. The only time they signed him back was when they realized they could make a nice profit on him. Um, he was at Leipzig after being at PSG, and the fact that he ended up there after he had a good couple of seasons at PSV, for me, Luis Enrique is a world class manager, one of the best managers we've seen in our generation. He's coached some really really top footballers. He's also a La Masia guy. He's a Barcelona guy. He had Xavi Simons and just decided that he'd let him go without even contesting. I know they're the best team in the world, but didn't even try and keep him. So that's a red flag for me. I think it was a panic buy because they missed out on Gibbs White, and the fact the only other club linked with him is Chelsea as well. That's another red flag because they'll sign anyone under the age of 23. Um, so I don't want to be too harsh on him. But I don't like the notion where people say he needs a year to settle in. Look, the guy's Dutch. He speaks perfect English. He speaks better English than me. So it's not like it's a new language. It's a new league. But listen, man, all of these guys who come in have a new league. And most of the guys who come in, you can tell after 10, 15 games whether they're good or whether they're shit. So I think he's at that level where I'm like, is he good? Is he just meaty or is he not a Premier League player?
Yeah, I think I'll go with the latter. I think he's a decent player. I just when I watch him, he just looks so small. Like he just gets smothered out there. And then also like his touch and stuff. That Wolves game, he couldn't trap anything. Like which suggests that's a confidence thing to me because if you've come from La Masia, then your technical ability, your floor should be very good. But yeah, Xavi Simons not having the best of times of it at the moment. There was one point I was going to make about Xavi Simons, but it's completely left my mind. So that's very annoying. But yeah, Keelan, earlier on in the group chat, you were having some thoughts about Tottenham, kind of alluding to it's not as bad as they're making out. Yeah, I want to get maybe a further say on that from you.
Yeah, so I think obviously, yeah, like as a Tottenham fan, you've got to be like extremely. Obviously, yeah, they won the Europa League, but extremely happy that last season's finished now, because watching your team come 17th, literally at one spot off being relegated, the amount of stress that must bring to you, just like your whole year, you're like every weekend you're watching your team and that's what you're seeing. Like that's not good. That's not what you want to be seeing at all. So I think Frank's come in. He's obviously got a different style of play in which, I guess there's some sort of talk that like Spurs have always been a sort of entertaining team to watch, in which that they weren't a great team for a lot of the times of what I can remember, in which they've obviously had good stints since then. But as regards to like long-standing DNA, I'd like to think that if you looked like before sort of we were born, it was all different. And just one I can comment on, like Arsenal is kind of Arsenal with Wenger, we were sort of one of this the Barcelona of England in sort of how we played, and that's kind of how we were. But then you kind of just look before him, and we had George Graham, who was the complete opposite, and it was kind of exactly what Arteta is now. So I think these things are natural cycles, and I don't think any club really has true DNA like that. In which, away from that, obviously yesterday is absolutely horrendous, but I think every team has their bogey sides, in which for them, it being a London rival, which are also teams, competing with them for a lot of trophies, it's not ideal for you to go out and play like that, and absolutely like shouldn't be happening. I think Frank's come in. He's clearly done like a lot of improvements in his first 10 games there. Like even the Super Cup final against PSG, like he looked well in that game, and I think in the Champions League, they will have some good moments there with him as the type of coach in which. I think you're definitely a good coach. Like if you're a Spurs fan and you're asking for him gone, like sort it out. Like that's just ridiculous, especially because I don't even think the football Ange was playing last year was entertaining. It was just obviously a lot of injuries got involved, which made it all a lot worse. But it was just silly, and it was not. You've got to think about who your opposition are and tailor things to it. You can't just put a team out and regardless of the opposition, that team plays the exact way and they do the exact same thing, because you're just not going to get results in this league playing like that. But then, like just on their recent business, I just look at their forwards and I think they've spent like a lot of money on a lot of forwards that aren't very good and struggle to sort of play for each other. And they've kind of got a lot of these guys like Tell and Simmons, which have played at big clubs, but they've kind of been sold by big clubs, and sort of their peak of when they were one to watch, that was like 2 or 3 years ago now, in which they're trying to make this player reborn, in which I think is just a risky tactic, in which I think they should look more sort of in the leagues. Whenever they've bought from the sort of English leagues, they've done well. I think Maddison has been one of their better signings in recent years when he can stay fit. But Ange didn't like him, so I think his form's sort of fallen off a bit there. And then, Kudus is definitely one of the better players to see in their team at the moment, and seems one of the ones that needs sort of less time to adapt in. But I think they're just like competing with other teams in the league. I think obviously Arsenal being at the top of the league at the moment, like you've got to say like Arteta's been there 5 years, like that's a long stamp that he's put on that team. Whereas I think you give Frank time, he will tailor those signings to what he wants. And I think the fact that he's already improved them so much, I think, he's just tweaking things to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point about their players, that hits home with me, because I just think their recruitment's just mid. I feel like they're always signing just the cast off who was at, as you said, a top club, or just the B option or the C option. Unfortunately, that is how the cookie crumbles when you are respectively Spurs. Banner aside, genuinely, when you are at this sort of level of club, you have to be a bit smarter, to be honest. And if you know you can't necessarily get the A option, just be a bit smarter. Go in the leagues. Don't just get Xavi Simons because he's a big name, or a Kola Mwani. Like, these are all the same types of player with the same types of history. Matthias Tell as well. And, they're dropping big money on these players as well. I think Tell was, about 40 odd million after his 40 million, something like that. But it's another player. Yeah, I mean, Kulusevski is obviously a success story of one of these players that Spurs have signed in terms of a player who's been at a big club, who's come down and just raised the level. But more often than not, they're just not great. I think United have seen that a lot of times with the players they've signed as well, like the Di Marias, Falcao, etc. You've got to buy hungry players, and I think that's obviously something. If I'm moving back to Arsenal or Klopp when he was at Liverpool, he did really well. So I think that's fair. Having said that, though, I think Frank does need to show more, to be honest, because there are teams in the league like Bournemouth, like Sunderland, like even Brighton, who going forward are just more inspiring than Spurs. And I think Frank has something to answer for that because, sure, they played Chelsea, they always lose Chelsea, but they weren't inspiring against like Monaco. They've been pretty crap in all their games, to be honest. Even Wolves, they had to get a last minute equaliser against Wolves. So, yeah, I think at the moment the blame is like not fully. It's with both sides. It's with Frank. It's with the recruitment, and I think obviously Daniel Levy's just left now. We'll see how Spurs get on over the course of time in terms of their direction. But yeah, I think too early to have talks of Frank leaving. But if you're a match going fan, I think they've got the most expensive season ticket in the Premier League or second behind Arsenal, then you will get frustrated seeing 0.05 xG at home against your bitter rivals. Ralph, I want to come to you about Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham, a bitter rival of United at the moment after their Europa League win. But yeah, what do you make of Spurs when you're watching them? Do you think Thomas Frank talk is premature in terms of his job being at risk, or do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it from a from a Spurs fan's point of view, if you told a Spurs fan from last season finished 17th to be obviously sort of in and around the top five come the start of the next season, they would probably think that's a good season. So on paper, yeah, okay, fair enough. He's doing an okay job. I think what Keelan said, especially about the players and what you mentioned about the type of player they have, they're just not good enough for the Premier League. A lot of their forward line just isn't good enough for the Premier League. I think Tell is a very average player. Clearly, that he had a loan spell which didn't go that well in my opinion, but they bought him after that. So that's put a bit of bad business there. Again, Xavi Simons, I've actually seen him live a few times just by accident, and he was okay, but that was like I said, in the Bundesliga. So is that really any sort of level to compare to, especially Leipzig, who we've seen have produced some world-class talents, but also some people that are duds as well. So again, bad bit of business there, and a player that's for not a player that's you bought him for such big money, not starting in a game like that says a lot about him and in terms of how he's favoured by the manager, and then again coming off even as being a substitute. So again, says a lot. I think Bergvall has got moments in him, but not quite ready to be the starting man at the moment. A pivot of Paulina and Benton Core just is uninspiring. I understand it. I get it. Defensive solidarity, and that's going to help you to get through games 100%. But in terms of attacking wise, when you haven't got your Solankis up front, people to find who are going to get you some goals. Kulusevski being away for a long while and not having that sort of goal threat. Johnson not quite hitting the form that he had at sort of around last season. If that's a purple patch or if he's just lost a bit of form, I don't know what that is. But when you haven't got that attacking line that's going to guarantee you a goal or two in a game, being defensively solid means really nothing because you're not creating down the other end, but you're not conceding at the same time. So it becomes boring at that stage. So I think when they start to get a few players back, maybe do a little bit of business in January window if they can, to bring someone in that's going to sort of maybe give you a bit of a push in the attacking area. I think Kudus is a good signing, like you said, someone that's going to potentially pull you out of a situation. I think without that, Tottenham are going to be in a situation where they're going to find they're going to be a very boring team. And I think, as you mentioned, the fact that they're paying a lot, and Tottenham fans are very passionate now. They've finally won a trophy, so they're very passionate about the fact that they want to see something off the back of that. They want to build on the lows of Ange Postecoglou. So it's frustrating, but I think they need to really understand that that forward line isn't scaring anyone at the moment. You don't go to Tottenham and think, oh my God, we're going to concede a goal here. You go to Tottenham thinking they're going to be maybe hard to play against because it's a Thomas Frank team, and he's a very good coach, let's be honest. But you don't go thinking, oh my God, they're going to hurt us in these areas, because at the end of the day, they're just not. Their technical ability of their forward line just isn't quite there. And you've got Donny's like Richard Allison as well, who on his day can pull off some amazing things, but he's never really his day all the time. So just stick to driving buses to stadiums, mate. In my opinion, but I think technically Tottenham, in terms of the top 6 teams, technically their front line is the worst out of the top 6, or the original top 6. I say, because they've just not got that firepower, I think, and that's what you need if you've got a good defensive side, which they're okay at defending. Vicario is a good goalie. Then without that forward line and that technical ability and that physicality and those players that are going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, they probably should have signed Cunha, to be honest. I think that would have been a good signing for Spurs. But their recruitment is just not that good. And that's Daniel Levy was responsible for a lot of that, and he's gone now. So maybe they'll have a different direction going forward. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I think Spurs are a little bit toothless, moving like their North London rivals a little bit in some areas in that aspect, I suppose. But toothless.
Can't keep us out of your mouth. But Spurs, I think that's fair. Just toothless in attack. And what you said is true. Like, when you play them, you're not expecting, you're not like, oh shit, it's Richarlison or anything like that. But you do know you're going to be in for somewhat of a game. And unfortunately, that's not something that I like to hear about my team. So yeah, Spurs 1-0 defeat for them. Chelsea, Joao Pedro back to scoring. Caicedo had a great game. Fair play to him. He shut me up. Well, although I said he's not world class, I am still waiting to see more. That sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, these world class players, I don't want to come in the season and see them scrapping out the top 4 race. Let's be real, the world class players play for the big teams, the teams challenging right at the top of the Premier League and the Champions League. World class. There's not many world class players. It's not a term that should be lightly thrown out. So Caicedo, unbelievable performance. Has shouts for it, of course, but for me, still want to see more consistent dominance from Caicedo. But we will just kind of move on a bit, or wrap up a little bit. I want to talk about Lamine Yamal. To be fair, back on the score sheet, I was thinking. The way he says funny in the group chat about Yamal scoring he's not with his girlfriend, and look, most like his girlfriend, but there was kind of concerns there about Yamal. Is he fully focused on the football at the moment or not? We've seen this with Rashford. That's what I wanted to bring up about Yamal, because Ralph, Louis, you've both had a lot to say about this sort of theory in football. But yeah, Lamine Yamal back on the score sheet. Seems like he's focusing on his football. And fair play to that.
Ralph, I'll let you say what you want to say first.
We've been here before, lads. We've been here before. Deja vu, and it comes down to these toxic relationships, isn't it? But yeah, no, it's weird that now that Rashford's moved to Barcelona, it's just like it's like he's got a curse for him or something like this. I don't know what it is, or maybe like a good omen. But yeah, no, I think we've seen a lot, especially in the media, especially in Spain as well. I haven't really read a lot of Spanish media, but I've seen it on Twitter and things like that, where there's been a lot of talk around more about his social life and what he's doing off the pitch than on the pitch. And for a young player who's of such technical ability, and when the world or the eyes are on you as the next best thing, or the messiah, sort of the next messiah, you've got to really, really be a humble person, and sort of understand that the football's always got to come first. And when we see Yamal doing parties with dwarfs and doing things off the pitch, and his girlfriend's talk of the town, that's never good, because the talk isn't about then everything that you do on the pitch is going to be scrutinised. I don't think Yamal last year had the most outrageous GA season in the world. Technically, one of the best people to watch in terms of football, like what he does with football and what he does in big games, and what he can produce, unbelievable, next level. And we all agree that he's technically an unbelievable, is a different type of talent. But when you're not doing all that on the pitch, or you're doing that on the pitch but not scoring, and off the pitch is also really noisy, it never really works. And again, I don't think his mum or whoever it was approved of his relationship either. So that says a lot about things as well. I think mums always know best when it comes down to those things.
True.
I think it's very true that he's got rid of that, scored straight away. Let's just hope that continues. He gets his head down, focuses on the football. There's going to be a lot of noise around Yamal's name for the next however many years in football. He's the next guy. When you come through that Barcelona team, that's always going to be the case. You're the next Messi in their eyes. So you've got a very, very big shoes to fill, and you're probably never ever going to fill them. But the best thing you can do is keep your head down and just have that mentality of real winners, and try to focus on the football, make that the forefront of your mind, and not girls or the lavish lifestyle and the Brazilian style, as it's always the sort of the Neymar lifestyle, as you may want to put it, because he's fallen into that trap. And once you do that, then it's very difficult to come back. We've seen that happen to many players like Ronaldinho, Adriano, all these different, Fat Ronaldo, all these different players. Bags of talent, probably the best technically in the world, but they let the off the pitch stuff divulge into their lives, and that's where you start to lose focus and start to become a bit of a washed up guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to lock in here because I feel like there's a good TikTok clip to make out of this. So, Lamine Yamal, right? I don't know the guy, so I don't want to twist it, but he's an 18-year-old kid, right? And if I was as a still a young man but a slightly older man than him, if the advice I was giving him, it would be lock in. Make the football come first. You have the world at your feet. You're the best footballer technically in the entire world. Focus on that. Because trust me, my piece has taken me to places I would not go with a gun. Right? So I've been there. I understand. Especially when you've got all of these supermodels, all of these famous celebrities, all of these women you've probably dreamed of since you were a young boy. Listen, we understand. But you have to understand the talent that's at your feet. You have to understand the magnitude of the task you have on your hands. You are meant to be the heir to Messi's throne. You are meant to be the prodigal son. You are meant to be the one who was guaranteed to take that throne. And we've seen it from you. We've seen it from you. You were 16 years old, tearing France up at the Euros. And I know full well, get this stage out of your life. Stop having these parties. Stop the bad influences. Lock in. Get a better manager. Get some guys around you who really, really care about you and are telling you no. Because no one in your life is telling you no. And I know that for a fact. You need someone older than you, wiser than you, someone who's been there to put their arm around your shoulder and say, you are the best in the world. Because you are the best in the world. There's no doubt about it. You are the one who is meant to step up and carry this next generation. And you need to realize that. You need to understand that. And if you do, you will go on to levels we have not seen before. Because the age you are and the things you've achieved already at your age, the sky is the absolute limit. I would say space is the limit. I'd say Jupiter is the limit for you. You just need to lock in. Stay away from the supermodels. Or if you're going to do it in private. Don't let the media be taking pictures. Don't be out there on jet skis in Italy. Don't be texting 30-year-old women saying, do you want this? Do you want that? Keep it under wraps, man. Keep it under wraps. Because all this media speculation, all it does is take things away from the football. Okay, find yourself a nice girl, settle down, give her a nice little wage, get her to cook you dinner, get her to raise your kids, and lock in. Look what Messi did. He's been with his wife since he was 15 years old. When have you ever heard an off-pitch drama about Messi? You haven't. Now imagine if he lived a life like Neymar did. Would Messi have been Messi or would he have been Neymar? Because look, Neymar may well be more talented than Messi. Who knows? I don't know. That's debatable, right? I don't think so, but it's debatable. Neymar could have been that level, but the things he made and the decisions he made, the choices he made it so he wasn't that level. The choices Messi made, the choices Ronaldo made, they always put the football first. The football has to come first. The only thing that should come above football is your family, right? And until she's your wife and until she's a mother of your children, she does not come first above the football.
I think that's
It's
fair.
a steady
I think
seven,
that is
man.
absolutely fair. One thing I'll say is, Yamal, if you listen to this, preface by saying, we have not been in your position, and if we were in your position, we might be doing the same things. But
100%.
hopefully, if we were in your position, look, if I was in your position, Yamal, I would love someone like Louis telling me that advice there, because it's true. And, we've seen that happen to players as well. So, there is some tongue in cheek there with that. But genuinely, we don't want to be talking in 5 years' time about Yamal respectfully how we talk about Ansu Fati or how we talk about Pato or any of these other failed wonder kids. I hate saying it, but failed wonder kids. Yeah.
If I could put it in one way, right? If I spent the amount of time I've spent chasing women and speaking to women in my life, and I invested that into a trade, or I invested that into learning Chinese, or I invested that into learning Arabic or a different language, that I may well be a millionaire by now. Who knows, man? Because I've spent hours doing that. And in the end, what did I have to show for it?
Don't let Trent see this.
Nah, obviously now I'm settled down and things are different, and I feel like my life's moving in the right track. But when I was a teenager, boy, if I spent that time focusing on university or focusing on studying a new language, damn.
Yeah, I mean, now it's all right. You're focusing all that time on the Streets Won't Forget podcast, so it's never too late. It's never too late to
10K
redirect your focus in life.
But imagine we were doing that then instead of chasing women.
True. I know.
We could be the sidemen by now.
Sidemen, beta squad, everything. Still time. And there's no limit apart from the limit that God sets on you. Right, cool. Well, on that note, I think that is a great place to wrap up the Streets Won't Forget podcast. If you like this episode, again, made it to the end of this episode, please give us a like, a share, a thumbs up, and get following on the TikTok. 10K, road to 10K, we're nearly there. But for now, that's it. Streets Won't Forget. It's been a pleasure. Peace out.
Peace out.